I'm going to have to charge up my battery because I've got one bar left. Today we're working on the 65 Econoline. I came in, a guy who sold it to me said it had no brakes. I looked at the master cylinder, it was dry, I topped it off. When you looked at the master cylinder now, it's kind of deceiving. The pedal will go to the floor with no resistance. The pedal, if you can see it from the side, actually goes about halfway up. Well, that's good news and bad news. After I put the fluid in, when I was driving, or riding it just up front here, the brakes are dragging really bad. What I think is the culprit is inside the master cylinder. There's a compensation port. Pretty much when you release the pedal, the brake fluid comes back from your wheel cylinders, in this case, goes back to the master cylinder. I think what's happening is the master cylinder is just pumping brake fluid, air, whatever, into the brake lines and the wheel cylinders, and it's not really coming back, causing the brakes to drag. Today, we're going to pull the wheels off, we're going to pull the drums off, we're going to replace the wheel cylinders, the master cylinder, and the brake hoses, just out of preventative maintenance, make sure all the old stuff is out. Then we're going to see what kind of brake pedal we have. We're going to look at and assess the drums, the hardware, the shoes themselves, the bearings, all that, and see if we can give this thing brakes. Because she wants to go out on the road, but she don't want to go too well because the brakes are dragging. So with it now being on jack stands, I'm going to take off the tires, take everything apart, I'm going to look at everything, and we'll go from there. Meanwhile, the camera will be charging. This is just a quick shot with the tires on the ground. I loosened up the lug nuts. I'm going to take them off now that the tires are lifted off the ground. You can barely see them. I got the jack stands right in front on the leaf springs, right next to the axle. Hubcaps are off. Lug nuts are loose on this time. I'm going to go charge up the camera while I take it all apart. I'll be back. Well, here comes the passenger side. Figured out the problem as far as the front binding. The adjusters were a little bit too tight. Had to use a small pry bar and a pick to move the adjuster and unscrew that. Loosened it up a bit after I pulled the dust cap off and all the bearing hardware. Pulled the drum off, no problem. Touch of being glazed, but that could have been from me. Pads are nice and thick. I still am probably going to replace these because I don't know the history of the age and what they've been through. But the other side is actually the same. They're really good shape. No real problems with the wheel cylinders and all that. I'm still planning on replacing all the rubber components to the brakes. Since I have the shoes off, I might as well replace those. They only cost about 14 bucks a pair. They're really cheap. And I'm going to definitely replace the master cylinder. But I just wanted to show you one of these sides. The other one looks just the same, otherwise I'd show it to you. But this guy really took good care of his van. Anytime you buy an old used vehicle like this, you never know what you're going to get into. So far everything is really good. This is one of the brake hoses, and it looks just like all or the other two. No dryness, no cracks. They're in incredible shape. Again, I'm replacing them all so I can get brand new fluid and start off with the brakes brand new, but it's really clean under here. Really impressed. That's all I got for the moment. I'm going to start replacing stuff. Come back to you in a bit. Try it again. Alright. It's hot outside. The front drums are off. Time to take off the master cylinder. But first, being that it's like 100 degrees outside, I'm going to go take a nap. Catch up with you later. Well, that's a good nap. Here's what we're doing next. There's your master cylinder. We're taking that out to make it really easy. This little shield, we're going to take that out. Just a couple of 13mm bolts, or 9/16 heads, I don't remember. Take it off. The entire pan right there. And we're going to go after the master cylinder. Feeling really froggy. I'm going to raise up the rear end over there. pop those tires off and get those drums off. There's Pokey again. Pokey's her little cameo. Poke! We have the master cylinder. The brake pedal. And the brake pedal return spring. The bushing for the brake pedal, which is part of the master, and then the little eccentric bolt. Dust boot, mounting bolts. And they run the brake light switch at the end of the master cylinder. Looking also at those steel lines that are covered in rust. We may end up replacing steel lines, I don't know. But we'll find out. I'm going to loosen up all the hydraulic lines first. They're going to be the biggest fight. I'm going to put a catch pan under there because there's brake fluid. Then I'm going to do the hard part on this side. It's just the bushing up on top, that bolt on the bottom, and that spring. Once those are all free, including the lines, then I'm going to take care of the two hold downs and the master cylinder will be coming out. I do have something to catch the fluid with. I'll come back later on and show you what it looks like outside of the van. Alright, so here's the passenger rear. Actually looks really good. Get a little bit close up. A lot of brake dust. And dust within the rivets and stuff, but the shoes are fine. Springs and hardware a little bit weathered. Brake drums were a little bit tight, but nothing huge. And you got your self-adjusters right there. Now one hold down pin a little bit sideways, but I'm not worried. I can place those. Now overall, this and the drums themselves, the surfaces, were actually really fine. I had to back off the adjusters a little bit like I did in the front. But we're good. I'm just going to replace the wheel cylinders and clean everything up. Other side looks just the same. There's nothing to be alarmed with. It looks really good. And after I'm done with this, I'm going to adjust the parking brake. Go from there. Let me show you the big hole I made for the master cylinder. There's the master cylinder. That's not where it belongs though, but I'll zoom in on it. The right hand side is your brake switch. It just closes contacts, completes the circuit, puts lights to the rear. And that's the rest of the master cylinder. It won't be here, unfortunately, where I bought my parts from. 2 packages got here earlier on time. The other one will be here Thursday when I'm working. One of them was a master cylinder. I was looking forward to doing that. I get bit up with too many mosquitoes because they're hitting. So right there on my face. That is the brake line that attaches to the master cylinder. The brass washer is still up on the back there. The brake switch goes through that, tightens up to the master cylinder. Brake pressure is what activates it. The bracket bolts go through that part right there, go through the master, and then through those bolts right there. There's the bushing for the pedal. It's not a great shot, but there's your pedal assembly. You can see where it kind of goes up to the floor. Let me see if I can cut a little bit more. From there, it goes right up to the top. That's pretty much your brakes. Real simple system. So I'm at the back of the van right now. We just did a quick inspection as far as the brakes, replacing all the rubber stuff, parts, some of the parts I got, some I don't, but I'm going to start working on it tomorrow. But that is a quick 101 on how I inspect my brakes. Thanks for watching. If you like these videos, don't forget, hit that like button. Do something really awesome. You can support the channel just by simply hitting that subscribe button. Doesn't do nothing for you, but it helps me. Thank you very much. Have any questions, any comments? Feel free to post them below. Any questions, projects, anything else, always welcome. Thank you for watching.